And I just wanted to continue sharing from Matthew 5, and this is Matthew 5:17, where Jesus teaches about the law. And I get questions about this, from other people who are interested, and they'll ask, well, if I accept Jesus Christ, do I have to obey every law? Do I have to do I have to pay attention to everything that's in the Old Testament and everything in the New Testament? That's a normal question. So I wanted to read from Matthew 5:17 and share this with you, and then I'll share some commentary. But these are Jesus' words in Matthew 5, and he says, "Don't misunderstand why I have come. I did not come to abolish the law of Moses or the writings of the prophets. No, I came to accomplish their purpose. I tell you the truth, until heaven and earth disappear, not even the smallest detail of God's law will disappear until its purpose is achieved. So if you ignore the least commandment and teach others to do the same, you will be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But anyone who obeys God's laws and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. But I warn you, unless your righteousness is better than the righteousness of the teachers of religious law and the Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." And I think what this is saying, he's telling them that his purpose was not to abolish the law of Moses or the writings of the prophets. It's all about their intent, the purpose of the law. And he says that until heaven and earth disappear, not even the smallest detail of God's law will disappear until its purpose, its intent, is achieved. And he tells us, do not ignore the least commandment and teach others to do the same, or you will be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. Okay, he's not saying that if you ignore a commandment and teach others to do the same, you will not be in the kingdom of heaven. But it's about the purpose and the intent of the law. Anyone who obeys God's laws and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So the key here is the purpose, and this last verse sings to the purpose. But I warn you, unless your righteousness is better than the righteousness of the teachers of religious law and the Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Okay, that's the key. Okay, it's not about looking at the law and saying, "Oh my goodness, this is an obligation that I have to meet." If you're thinking about it from that perspective, that's the way the Pharisees saw it. They saw it as a condemning law. When you realize that Jesus Christ died for your sins and saved you, you will understand that the law is a way for you to understand what is godly, what is more like God, what is more like Christ. And if you are thankful for that salvation, you want to be more like Christ. If you love God first with all of your body and your mind and your soul, and your heart and your body, sorry. And then you love other people, and you want to follow Christ's commandments and Christ's example, you want to be more godly. It's not about obeying the law anymore. It's about appreciating the guide, the intent to tell you, this is how you can live a more godly life. This is how you can live a life filled with more joy and things that are permanent versus things that are snares and traps, and that the fun in them will wear out and leave you empty. So when he says, unless your righteousness is better than the righteousness of the Pharisees. Okay, the Pharisees understood the law as a checkbox of rules they had to check off and out of obligation do them. Okay, that's not love. That's not loving God. That's seeing the law as condemnation. Righteousness, they thought righteousness was following the rules. righteousness is Christ's righteousness. Christ's example of love pouring out even onto his enemies. That is righteousness. That is what Matthew 5:20 is talking about when it says righteousness. It is speaking of the true righteousness. Righteousness means to be godly. Godly is not out of obligation trying to check off a rule book and follow a set of rules. No, righteous is loving and wanting to be more like God because of your gratefulness for him saving you when you didn't deserve it. So if that is true and you've had that change in intent, then you are not looking at it from the perspective of what are the least number of commands that I can follow and do to get into heaven. No, you are going to want to be and grow and become more Christ-like each day. And that's what it's about. That is what the intent of Christ's salvation means. So this section, if you ever have anybody ask about, do I have to obey the law? What's the law? It's a very good portion. It's Matthew 5:17 through 20. And like I said, the key to the whole passage is understanding in 20 that he's contrasting true righteousness against the condemnation of the Pharisees. Condemnation and judging of others and being an accuser. That is what the devil is called, is the accuser. We don't want to be on that team. We don't want to be condemning and accusing. We want to be loving, because true Christians love because that is what Christ did for us. If you have any questions, you have any comments, please share them with me. Hope y'all have a great day.